Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here, coming at you with the What a Deck profile for episode 164, Crusadia OTK. For our monster lineup, we're playing 4 Kaijus, 1 Jizakuri, 1 Thunder King, 1 Gamasil, and 1 Kamungus. We're playing 3 of the World Legacy - World Lance, 2 World Crown, 3 Crusadia Maximus, 3 Crusadia Draco, 3 Rescue Cat, 3 Crusadia Leonis, 3 Crusadia Arborea, and 3 Crusadia Reclusia. For spells, we have 1 each of Reinforcements of the Army, Monster Reborn, and Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, 3 World Legacy Succession, 3 Crusadia Power, and 1 Crusadia Revival. Our only trap consists of 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Our extra deck consists of 2 Crusadia Magius, 2 Crusadia Regalix, 2 Crusadia Equimax, and 1 each of Black Rose Dragon, Coral Dragon, Topological Bomber Dragon, Boral Load, Boral Sword, Skull Dread, and 3 Nightmares, Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. The side deck I'll go over in a bit. So as the name clearly states, this deck's win condition is to OTK, which stands for 1 turn kill if you're new here. And Crusadias do that quite effectively. If you're unfamiliar with the archetype, here's the basic rundown. All of the Crusadia main deck monsters have effects that say you can special summon this card from your hand, in defense position, to a zone that a link monster points to, but you can only special summon each monster that way once per turn. The link monsters, meanwhile, all have the common effect that they gain attack equal to the combined original attack of all the monsters they point to, but monsters they point to cannot attack. So, you get your Link 3, which already has 2,000 attack, special summon 2 of your Crusadias to the zones it points to, and that'll usually get it up to at least 3,000, usually 4,000 attack. This on its own is obviously not enough to OTK, but fortunately one of your Crusadias, the one with the highest attack no less, has an effect that helps with this. Crusadia Maximus says once per turn you can target a Crusadia Link monster you control, and if it battles an opponent's monster this turn, it does double the battle damage, but other monsters you control can't attack. Now if you have Maximus and any other Crusadia in the zones that Equimax points to, it'll have at least 4,000 attack, meaning if you attack a monster with 0 attack, doing double damage, you'll do at least 8,000 damage and kill your opponent in 1 turn. Of course, your opponent is rarely going to leave a 0 attack monster on board, which is where our other cards come in, specifically the Kaijus. You see, Equimax has 3 link arrows, 2 that point down, and 1 that points up to your opponent's side of the field. If you use a Kaiju, you contribute your opponent's monster for it, and place it in the zone in front of Equimax. This is essentially like putting a 0 attack monster on your opponent's side of the field. It may have 3,300 attack, but since Equimax gains that much as well, it'll always be 4,000 more than whatever Kaiju you use, meaning if you attack and do double damage, you win. In addition, we're also playing World Lance, which has several effects, but we're only using one of them, which states, if a Link monster battles, you can discard this card, and the opponent's monster loses 3,000 attack. If you have this, you don't even need a Kaiju, because any attack position monster with less than 3,100 attack is an OTK. Finally, as if that wasn't enough, we also have the Crusadia Field Spell, which not only gives your Crusadia Links 500 extra attack, but once per turn, you can target one you control, and it gains the ability to attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, allowing you to OTK your opponent even without a Lance or a Kaiju, assuming they have a couple monsters on the field. Pretty much everything else in the deck is either just some text support, or it's there to help you do the combos you need to make Equimax, which I suppose I should explain now. So Crusadias are all about link climbing. You start by normal summoning any Crusadia monster, and then you can use it to make your Link 1 Crusadia Magius. In addition to gaining the attack of the one monster it points to, it has the effect that once per turn, when an effect monster is summoned to the zone this card points to, you can add 1 Crusadia monster from your deck to your hand. So you summon this, special summon any Crusadia from your hand using its effect, and then search another Crusadia. Then, since you have 2 monsters on the field, you can link away this and the thing you summoned in order to make Crusadia Regalix their Link 2. It has an effect similar to Magius, except that instead of searching a monster, you search a Crusadia spell trap. This is why we just play one of the field spell. It's only useful if your opponent has a big field set up, and we can easily search it in the course of our main combo. But anyway, you should have a Crusadia in hand since you searched it off of your Link 1, so you can special summon it under Regolix. That'll get your search, and then you can use your Link 2 and the one monster you summoned for your Link 3 Equimax. So all of that I just explained can be done with any 2 Crusadia monsters. So if any of the other 4 cards in your hands are Crusadias, you can summon them to the zones that Equimax points to boost its attack. If you have a Kaiju, you can summon it in front of Equimax, like I explained earlier, and if you have 2 of them, you can summon the additional one to your side of the field in one of the linked zones that Equimax points to, boosting its attack even more. Additionally, if you have Monster Reborn or World Legacy Succession, which is essentially just Monster Reborn, but it can only summon from your graveyard, and only to a zone that a Link monster points to, then you can reuse the cards in your graveyard you used to Link Climb in order to boost its attack. And that's pretty much the deck. It's pretty simple. All that remains is the other little tech cards, the little subtleties and effects that I haven't gone over yet. For example, World Legacy-World Crown is not a Crusadia, but it acts like one, having the same summoning conditions where you can special summon it from your hand to a zone that a Link monster points to. It's got a beefy 2000 attack, which is more than any of your main deck Crusadias, and if you don't OTK, it actually has a neat stun effect, where you can tribute it during either player's turn to negate the activated effect of a monster that was summoned from the extra deck and destroy it. We played it too because it can't be used to start your combos, but if you're going for a Crusadia stun variant, which actually works pretty well, you can put a 3rd copy of this in. Crusadia Draco, in addition to the standard Crusadia effect, allows you to add a Crusadia card in the graveyard back to your hand when it's normal or special summoned to a zone that a Link monster points to. This may not seem very great, but it's actually essential to your combos, allowing you to get whichever monster you normal summoned to start the combo back to your hand so that you can special summon it. Rescue Cat allows you to summon 2 Leonis from the deck, which doesn't really help you Link Climb any better or faster, but your opening combo requires 2 Crusadias, and starting with the Rescue Cat is essentially the same as opening with a Leonis in your hand, so it's just a consistency booster. Speaking of Leonis, it has an effect similar to Maximus, where you can target a Crusadia Link monster and bestow an effect upon it. In this case, you can make it do piercing damage, which can be situationally useful, but useful nonetheless. Arborea, meanwhile, has some protection. If Crusadias you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead, making it excellent Link material. Our final Crusadia, Reclusia, is a bit of removal for those times when you need to destroy spell traps or bait out a negation, and you don't have any other cards to do so. If it's normal or special summoned to a zone a Link monster points to, you could target 1 Crusadia you control and 1 card your opponent controls, and destroy both of them. Usually you just have it destroy itself for a little bit of quick removal, but if you really need to save it as Link material, and you have Arborea in the graveyard, you can use its effect to save Reclusia, and it won't stop your opponent's cards from being destroyed. Rhoda is here just to search Arborea, since our main combo again just takes 2 Crusadias. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is a great way to get Kaijus on both sides of the field, which can set up for the OTK. Crusadia Power is our only other Crusadia spell trap, and what you'll usually search off of Regolix. It's a once per turn quick play that says you could target 1 Crusadia you control, and this turn it is unaffected by all card effects except its own. This is really handy for dealing with whatever back row your opponent happens to have, and of course if you fail to OTK, you can set it and protect your monsters during your opponent's turn, hopefully save yourself until you can OTK them next turn. Our final main deck card, Infinite Impermanence, is our main tech card. Since we want to go second with this deck, it really helps to have some kind of hand trap style disruption that prevents the opponent from making an unbreakable board. I went with this since it's unaffected by Called by the Grave, which is really popular right now, but you could just as easily replace this with Ghost Ogre, Ash, Veiler, or any other number of hand traps. As for our extra deck, aside from the Crusadia links, everything else in here is just sort of a toolbox. Nothing in the deck locks you to Crusadias, so it's not that hard to summon Link 2s through 4s, whatever you really need, feel free to put in here. It's also worth mentioning that Arborea is a tuner for some reason, so it's worth tossing in a couple of synchros just in case. While I'm here, I should mention that Equimax actually does have a second effect. It can tribute any Crusadia or World Legacy card it points to target a face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effect for this turn. Usually you don't want to do this if you can help it, since it'll lower your attack, but it is a quick effect, which means not only can it be used to stop battle traps if you don't have Crusadia power, but if you don't OTK, it'll help you survive until next turn when you can try again. But anyway, all that leaves is the side deck, which is mostly just other options. Pot of Desires actually works really well in this deck, and I'd recommend it in the main deck at 3 if you want to play seriously. But I try not to use the same staples in every deck, and Crusadia's doesn't need to play Pot of Desires, so I just put it in the side. The only thing I'd recommend for certain in the deck is some kind of spell trap removal, since heavy trap decks can be really tough for Crusadias to deal with. I chose Cosmic Cyclone, but Red Reboot, Galaxy Cyclone, and even MST can be just as good, depending on what your budget is and what the meta is like. I mentioned a stun variant of this deck early on, and if you want to run that, or maybe run a conversion side deck so you can stun after game 1, you can put in another World Crown for the added negate, as well as one copy of Elephant. This is a level 2 beast tuner that you can summon off of Rescue Cat in order to make Naturia Beast, which can be instant death to something like Sky Strikers. Likewise, Raigeki and Dark Hole don't make much sense if you're trying to OTK in this deck, since you can only do double battle damage against monsters, but in the control variant they work pretty well. And if your opponent has a lot of effect negation, these can be a decent side card to help bait those out. Book of Eclipse, meanwhile, is a fun little tech card that can shut down people's turns if you're going first, set it, flip it in the middle of your opponent's combo to stop them from link summoning, and then if you get your Piercing Lion along with the card that lets you attack everything, you can usually OTK next turn. Pinpoint Landing is decent draw power in the stun variant, but if you're going for the OTK, you're only going to draw once with it, which just replaces itself, meaning you're better off not playing it at all unless you want to remove some of these spell traps to make your deck smaller. But I feel like the deck is pretty good where it is. Magical Midbreaker can be some decent protection for your plays, and it is searchable with terraforming, but it prevents you from using Crusadia Revival when I didn't really think it was necessary. Finally, we have Crusadia Vanguard. This is another solid choice for the stun variant. It's a continuous trap that lets you tribute a World Legacy or Crusadia monster, and special summon one from the deck or graveyard with a different name. Also, while you have a Crusadia Link monster, your opponent can only target Link monsters for attacks. Not only will this allow you to turbo out World Crown or a plethora of other World Legacy cards that you might want to consider using, but it prevents your opponent from attacking anything but your Equimax, which will usually have at least 4,000 attack. Best of all, you can just play it at once since you can search it off of Regolix, so it's not all that cloggy. It's really a great card, and the only reason I don't play it in an OTK deck like this is because I usually end the game before I have a chance to activate it. But anyway, there's the deck. I hope you enjoy it. If you'd like to see Crusadia OTK in action, you can check out the main video where I'll be playing 10 random duels against opponents on YGOPro, showing off how it works. Or if you're short on time, just check out the replay video. Both should be linked on the end card and down in the description. Anyway, until next time, good luck and have fun.